Hi guys, I am here with your next art lesson. So this week's theme is A Bug's Life. So I am going to do a art project based on that. So what we are going to do today is make a salt dough caterpillar. So the recipe for the salt dough, I'll give you that first, and then if you need to go and make it, you can pause the video and then come back after you have made it. So to make the salt dough, there's all different recipes out there, but the one I found that works the best uses just 3 ingredients. It uses flour, salt, like regular table salt, and water. And the recipe, you are going to do a half a cup of flour, a 1/4 cup of salt, and a 1/4 cup of water. And you mix all of that together really well. And then you should have a dough. If it's too wet still, then you can add a little more flour to it, but do a very small amount at a time. That way you can get the right consistency. It should be like a dough. It shouldn't stick to your fingers really much. If you don't have any of that stuff, but you have Play-Doh at home, or if you have modeling clay, that will work for this project as well. But I just thought those ingredients might be stuff that you have around the house. So like I said, if you need to pause the video, you can pause this, go make the salt dough, and then come back and we can get started. Okay, so here is what we're gonna do. So I thought first we could make a leaf for our caterpillar to sit on. So for that you just need white paper, and you can just use white paper. I'm also using an empty food box that I'm gonna glue the leaf to, just so it's a little bit sturdier. So you can use that too. Scissors to cut with, and then something to add color to our leaf with. So you can use markers, you can use crayons, colored pencils. If you have paint, that's fine too. Whatever you want to use. So I'm going to make sure my leaf stays inside this little box. Okay, so to do a leaf, it's very simple. It's just 2 lines. It's a smile shape and a frown shape. These are shapes that we worked on. If you had me during the school year, we worked on these as well. So I'll show you on the paper and then you can follow along. If any of you need help, you can certainly do hand over hand with somebody, or they can dot the lines for you and you can trace them. So you're going to do a frown shape up in the corner, or a rainbow shape, whichever. And then you're going to do a smile shape, just like that. And then you can add color to your leaf. So you can do the veins, which are the lines that go up the middle of the leaf to bring it water. And then you can add color to it. I like using crayons and markers when I do it. Gives it different texture. If it's easier for students doing this project, you can color the whole thing first and then cut it out, because then it doesn't matter if they go outside these lines, because it's just going to get cut out. So that's usually what I do with some of the students at school, is we just color everything first. Let them do it, doesn't matter what it looks like, and then we can cut around the edge. So I'm just going to use crayons now, add some color to my leaf. This will give our salt dough caterpillar something to sit on. And like I said, just in case you didn't hear the recipe at the beginning, salt dough is something that is very, very simple to make. I make it all the time. My son and I do salt dough projects all the time. It dries hard, so you just leave it out in the air and it dries. You can also put it in the oven. And if you go online and look, it tells you different ways to do it in the oven, and that hardens it as well. It's just a simple at-home, air dry type of clay. It doesn't take much for this project, that's why the recipe amounts are fairly small. It's a half a cup of flour, 1/4 cup of salt, and a 1/4 cup of water. I found that warm water works really good. Mix that all together. And then you have your salt dough. Right now we are working on the leaf that our caterpillar is going to work on. There is no wrong way to color this. Use whatever you have at home. I think your art kits included markers and crayons. You could use that. And you just color in your leaf. And like I said, for students who have trouble coloring in the lines, this is perfect. They can color their leaf after it's drawn. Doesn't matter if they go outside the line, because when we cut it out, it'll be nice around the edges. So once you get it colored, you can cut it out. You can do hand over hand to cut if you need to. And you can do this as big or as small as you want. If you want to do a bigger caterpillar or a couple caterpillars, you can certainly make a much bigger leaf. You don't have to do yours small. Like I said, I'm using an empty food box. I'm just going to glue the leaf to this and then cut that out. It makes it a little more sturdy to hold the salt dough. Now when the salt dough dries, you may have to come back and add some glue to it just to make it stick if you're going to want it to stay on there. It might peel off as it dries. So there we go. So now it's just got this cardboard back to make it a little bit sturdier for our caterpillar. Okay, I made my salt dough up ahead of time. And the nice thing with the salt dough is that you can add food coloring to it. So I tinted mine blue and yellow. I used a lot of blue and yellow to make mine nice and dark. So if you have food coloring at home, you can add color to the salt dough ahead of time. Just a few drops while you're mixing it and it colors it. Another option, if you don't have food coloring at home, you could use watercolor paints, or you could just leave the salt dough white. After the salt dough is dry, then you can color it with marker or paint, whatever works for you. So once you have your salt dough, then you can break off little pieces, and all you're going to do is roll them in your hand and make little circles. And you can do a pattern. This is a good way to work on patterns with students. I think I'm going to do a pattern with mine. I just did yellow and blue, but you can do as many different colors as you want. I think most food color sets come with red, yellow, blue, and green. And then there's like neon sets too. So whatever you have, you can always combine colors. Color mixing is good. If you want purple, do red and blue together. If you want green, do blue and yellow. And if you want orange, do red and yellow. That's a nice little addition to this lesson as well. So I stuck mine together, and then you can press it down on your leaf. If you wanted to add antennas, you can have the students work on rolling the clay into snakes and then breaking it, and then you can add antenna, I'm going to break that one in half, to your caterpillar. Like that. So this lesson is really good for working on hand muscles, because they can roll, they can squeeze, they can pinch this to pull the clay off, or dough off. So like I said, once you have your caterpillar on there, you're probably going to want to let the dough dry really good, probably overnight. And then if it comes off the leaf and you want it to stay, then just pick it up and add a little white glue to the bottom and then press it down, and that way it'll stay on your leaf for you. But if you aren't worried about that, then you don't have to worry about it. But that is our caterpillar on a leaf using salt dough. I hope you guys enjoy. The salt dough recipe is a nice thing to have on hand because you can make up the salt dough and do all sorts of different projects with it. You can do handprints. You could do things like this, sculpt out of it. You can use it for all different things. So that's a nice recipe to have on hand. So I thought I would share that with you guys. So have fun, enjoy, and I will see you next week.